everyone. Welcome back to Psyched About Life, where we talk about psychology, life growth, and personal development. Today's video is all about the levels of consciousness or the themes of consciousness. And I got this idea to do this video based on this book that I've been reading called The Inner Work by Matt and Ash. I find it to be very enlightening, very eye-opening, and intriguing. It really talks about, first of all, educating ourselves on consciousness, why it's important, why being in tune with this level and this high awareness is very important, how to obtain more closely to our truer selves, and how to be happy, more open to happiness and the gifts of life. And that can only be through greater awareness and greater overall consciousness. So, that sounds like a tongue twister and a half, but I promise you I'm going to try to break it down into these themes and these levels of awareness. So, first, we're going to talk about states of consciousness, and then we'll dive further into the themes. So, human consciousness is often known as a stream. It is constantly changing, it's not always flowing at the same speed, process, or wavelength, whatever you want to call it. We can drift off into high and low state of awareness. There's two common states. There's that unconscious and conscious. And we often use unconscious to talk about that lack of awareness. Consciousness itself can present with varying levels of awareness, and that's what we're going to get into in a moment. So, human consciousness can be altered in various ways, including hypnosis, with mental exercises or drugs. Reaching an altered state of consciousness can also be achieved through meditation and mind body practices. So, that's what I really encourage you to do. This video is not to encourage drug use or psychedelics. It's really to encourage us to get to that higher level of awareness or consciousness. And the reason why is because we want to be closer to our true selves and to be more open to receiving the good things, a good mind state where we can truly be happy, where we can truly experience stuff within ourselves and not seek outside happiness. And that's really where that low level of consciousness comes in. It's when we seek from outside of ourselves. So the more aware we are, essentially, the greater we can achieve those positives like happiness, joy, love, and just believing that we have that unconditional love, that it's innate. And that's one of the things that this book talks about in the first chapter, which honestly, that's really all I got into is like the first chapter because I'm not much of a reader. But believe me, this book wants me to be a reader. Like, I want to actually read. I really enjoy it. It's a very easy read, also. There's pictures because I'm a child, but there's pictures, and I really enjoy reading it. And I highlight as I go. Anyway, low awareness. So, although you may not feel as if you're aware of every single detail of what's happening, even in this state, your brain is still capable of processing the signals it receives. Think about the way a person who is asleep in bed may instinctively grab a blanket when they get cold. They may respond to someone because they're still kind of awake. Although they're not actively thinking, their brain received a signal that their body feels cold. So, still, we're receiving those signals, those inputs, and we are somewhat aware. Now, let's talk about high awareness. A person who has that high level of awareness tends to be more in control of their thoughts. That's very important. The ability to pay attention to detail and analyze the activity around you comes with heightened awareness. So, because consciousness is a flow, it's not a steady state, right? Things happen around us. People still will experience challenges, but having the greater overall awareness will help us in those challenges. And like I said, high awareness is more control of our thoughts. But what happens when we're stressed out? Obviously, we're going to not pay attention to all these details. We're not going to be able to control ourselves when we're feeling so much of an emotion or a thought overwhelmed. But having that high awareness, we can get into those healthy habits of acknowledging what we're feeling and then processing through it. And that practice of mindfulness is an example of how heightened awareness can be achieved, focusing on the present moment. Also, meditation is used to reach this type of awareness because it helps people achieve that altered state of consciousness. But really quickly, altering that state of consciousness, you can use stimulants, depressants, or hallucinogens. Stimulants create that feeling of euphoria, it heightens your awareness. Depressants lower that awareness, you can feel relaxed. And hallucinogens alter that perception of reality and can create feelings of paranoia. So that's just something to throw out there, that you can, in fact, alter that state of consciousness. Now I'm going to get into the themes of consciousness. So I'm kind of like piggybacking off of what consciousness is all about, kind of an introduction. But as we get into the themes, this is where stuff gets really interesting. And this is what made me want to make this video, is because it's so fascinating to see that we can achieve this through that mind body exercise, that mindfulness and meditation. And it's really cool because we can kind of manipulate and do that sort of exercise to achieve these higher levels of consciousness. One thing that I highlighted that I find really interesting is that the first thing to note when looking at these themes is the wound of rejection represents the most cut off from our true self. And then on the top, we see true freedom and lasting happiness is the more unified and self realized. So rejection is really lacking suffering filled and painful frequency we can experience that takes us away from experiencing freedom and happiness. So just keep that in mind. And as we go through the themes, we are going to talk about themes of wounding to themes of healing. And then last but not least, the most expanded consciousness are the themes of enlightenment, which is freedom, happiness, love, and inner peace. Also, quote unquote, the 5D reality, self as spirit. So that's kind of like the highest version we can transcend into. So you'll see on page 16 gives a visual of the themes of consciousness from contracted to expanded point of view. So looking at it, we have contracted on the bottom, expanded on the top by the 5D reality. We're going to start with the 3D of consciousness. Living in the 3D means that you see the world in a physical way. Using your 5 senses and your thoughts are not important when it comes to living in the real world. People will know your character through your physical things, such as your house, car, your clothes, and your worry. You see life as a competition where there's winners and losers, and you want to be at the top. You worry about missing out on things, but have trouble when it comes to deep emotions and emphasizing. Those that live in the 3D have no desire to understand any deeper meaning. They are happy staying in the material world. And then it shows in the picture insecurity, violation, inadequacy, distrust, loss, overwhelm, judgment, rejection. So that's exactly what it talks about. It talks about making its way to the top, not really getting that enlightenment, that spirituality out of life, no deeper meaning. You're just seeing things in the physical. But then as we make our way more and more to the expanded point of view, we see that 4D reality, that is the themes of healing, self-empowered mentality. We talk about understanding, acceptance, self-motivation, ease, and accountability. It's that gateway to the next level of consciousness. Those who live in this state, the 4D, they believe that something is out there and that we should all connect with each other. They believe in those connections. People who live in this state know that what they put into their bodies is important and try to lead a healthier lifestyle. They believe they are born with a purpose or somewhat, and they want to see what the universe has to offer and believe that there is more to it. There's more of a reason we are here. And then we get to the top, which is the most expanded theme of consciousness. We have freedom, happiness, love, and inner peace. These are the themes of enlightenment. It's that unity mentality or ecstasy, the self as the spirit, and it's that 5D. So those in the 5D know that we are all connected and that there is no such thing as good or bad. It's just experiences that we need to learn and grow from. Everyone has a higher purpose, and these people can see the bigger picture, that the universe is all about love and connectedness. We are all equal. Personal wealth is immaterial. It's not that significance or purpose in life. It has nothing to do with the material of anyone. You have that deep connection with Mother Nature and the universe. You have strong intuition and believe that things are beyond the physical realm. And then there's even more higher states of consciousness like 60 and 70, where we can leave our physical bodies, lucid dreaming, meditation, or other altered consciousness. So we're not really going to dig that deep. And then there's even further into 10D, where people are going traveling in their mind and stuff like that. I don't know completely how. I'm not really knowledgeful in that area. I'm not very enlightened in that way. I believe that I definitely shift from each dimension of or theme of consciousness, because like I said, we're not going to be always in one area. If something happens in our lives, maybe we might fall back or we may feel more enlightened, but it's really good to live in that 5D sense of our spirit, that we're all connected, that there's a greater purpose. That's kind of what we strive for. And then we see that there's a lot of positives with that. We have more control of our thoughts, feelings. We accept what life has to offer. We know that the grass is greener where we pour the water, where we water it. That there's so much more to life. So as we go further, that's kind of where that consciousness falls in. So anyway, that's it for today's video. I didn't really dive too much into consciousness. I could make so many videos about this topic. There's just so much out there, so much to know, so many theories. Personally, I find this stuff so interesting, so I'm planning on doing another video like this one. But yeah, thank you so much. If you're new here, welcome. I appreciate you guys watching my video and my content. Please stay tuned for more videos. Bye.